All right, Matthew, welcome to episode 49 of the Performance Advantage podcast with myself, Dr. Will O'Connor, and Dr. Matt Miller, sports scientist. This week, we're sharing our tips and experiences from training and working at home and from home. The Performance Advantage podcast is brought to you by the EnduranceTrainingHub.com and SmartMTBTraining.com. Training plans, videos, tips, articles, everything you need to self-coach online, available anywhere in the world at any time. Go check it out. It's just $10 a month. Great to support the show and help you out. Okay, Matt, how you been doing?
Yeah, things have been pretty good. I had a cold there for a bit, and then I think I said last week I didn't ride for 2 weeks, which is pretty much unprecedented. And you know what it's like after our athletes take a break or after we have a break, you usually feel like pretty bad again once you're back into it.
Yeah.
And you feel pretty bad for like a week. And there was no exception, like coming back from a cold. Actually, my legs felt pretty much amazing right away, but the endurance wasn't there and things like that. And I would feel great for a bit and then I'd feel bad. It's pretty standard. So after about a week of, just doing like an hour of riding every day, I felt amazing, actually. And, yeah, I had one of my best times down our local descent. My bike was feeling great after some of the changes we made to my suspension. And yeah, I've just been feeling amazing. So it's been really good. Been working quite a lot. Our Break Ace software is like getting super ready, which is really exciting. We're making plans to launch soon. So yeah. Everything's been really exciting. Athletes are training hard, and we've made some changes to everyone's training plan. And yeah, I think things have been pretty good the last week.
Yeah, and that's what Matt and I want to keep the positive vibes going on the podcast. So just sharing our happy stories, hoping everyone's doing well out there. And yeah, for us, it's a different time, but we are based online and we have been for a while, and we've been based at home. So we want to share our tips and some anecdotes of how we've managed our time and energy whilst, I guess, hunkering down in the spare bedroom.
Yep. Very experienced.
Yeah.
What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? Well, it's interesting, like you say how, you felt crap for that first week, and then, because we're kind of on different trajectories, I guess I think it was 5th week of training, and, you train you went for a ride every day. You're like, oh yeah, this is alright. And then you start feeling really good. And then so you start getting like I was saying, I was trying to hold myself back and super motivated, and then I was just at the end of my 5th week. I was like, man, I can't wait for my recovery week. I was tapped out, but yeah, had one of my best weeks of training last week. 2 really quality sessions, 120 Ks, 2 mountain bikes as well. Whoa. That's been big. After Tarawera, I realized like I need to lift the intensity in my game if I want to be competitive on the world stage, and part of that is a lot of what we're going to talk about today, which is different to your approach, but and I talked to Jay, the sports psychologist, about some of these things, about lifting for me it's like structure, routine and stuff. But yeah, so I'll be chilling out a bit this week, and then everything is closed in New Zealand for 4 weeks from 25th of March 2020. So yeah, not a lot of distractions really. Well, actually Facebook and Instagram, YouTube. So yeah, still the same.
It's the same distractions, actually.
same Strava. Yeah. Full on, distractions. But yeah, Matt, how have you been handling the motivation of like yourself and your athletes? That's the first one we've got on the list, is like, at this point in time, it's motivation. Like, the events aren't on.
Yeah, I think for the near future, there aren't any events. So what we've had to do is change our tactics. So for some athletes, actually, we were coming into our peak performance season. And, this is for a number of athletes around the world. And, two of my athletes were overseas at their events, and the events got canceled as they're preparing to race. And I think that's really difficult to handle when you've spent months training for. But one of the approaches that we've taken is we've worked really hard on our fitness for a long time. So we want to make sure that it worked. So what we've done really to keep everyone motivated is to set new fitness challenges to see where we're at and to make sure that our strategies work. And the really good thing about figuring out if our strategies work is we know what to do next time. So there will be events later in the year. There aren't any through April in New Zealand, and probably not in the US either. But we're making sure that we stay on track, because fitness is a journey anyway. And it's all about being consistent, sticking with it. And it's not what you do tomorrow or the next day. It's what you did last month, last week, next month, next week kind of thing. So, we need to remember that the journey in fitness is the most important part, because the destination is, who knows what the destination is. Anyway, we can target specific events and we can make sure that we're staying fit. And what we're doing now is just making sure that we are fit and getting some real numbers to it, which is really good.
I'll kind of share my experience, because some people might be able to relate. Like, I had the Rotorua Marathon, which is 2nd of May, and I had booked in Australia, in the Gold Coast, 100-kilometer race. And, it was like most people, had the races built up, had my build up sorted. Yeah, this is great benchmarks and everything like that. Training is built around it. And then not only do you lose those events, and you're like, okay, that can happen, whatever. But then you have all this like random noise going on in the whatever economy online in the news. And it's kind of like had these few days of just like, what am I doing? What do I train for now? Do I even care? And that made me really think about like, what do I want? And I want to be a better athlete. I want to self-improve. This is why I'm doing it. It's for me to progress as far as I can. Find those limits. Like, how fast can I run? How fast can I go on downhill on the mountain bike? I still love challenging myself up and down hills, cycling, power outputs on the trainer and stuff. And so I thought, well, now's actually a really, really good time to see what I can do in training. A lot of the times racing can get in the way. I don't know if you find that, Matt. Sometimes with some of your athletes, you're like, if we didn't have this race, which we need to perform at, especially if they're selection ones or something that you actually want to do well, you're like, this athlete could really do with skipping this. But in terms of the overall holistic picture, you can't just say, hey, don't do this.
Especially when it's someone's job to do races. You're looking at, you're doing 2 World Series, 2 full World Series. Well, okay, we'll have to miss some training. But, now we can just stick with training for a while and rest properly. And we don't have anything to remove training for, because, when we're training a lot, we could potentially get tired, right? And that's what we do. We train a lot and we get tired, and then we rest, and then we go to events. If you're always doing an event, you can't stick with training because you don't want to go to an event tired. So yeah, I think it could clear up some things without the constant stress or planning of the next event.
And, it's positive and negative. There's no other events on either. My sister's not messaging me saying you need to come to, my nephew's first birthday. I'm not saying that happened. I'm just saying that, I don't need to, there's a lot of things where you're like, oh, okay, cause that's what gets in the way for a lot of us. And look, I don't want to say gets in the way. It's just, we all have lives, right?
Do you you put people's birthdays on the calendar and then you look for events that accidentally coincide with those birthdays? So you don't have to go.
Oh, look, I'm already booked up. Sorry. Or something like if I definitely have to travel, like, oh, I do that. Like we're going, maybe, I don't know, going down to Queenstown anyway in October. So I just checked the calendar. Is there any events on while we're down there? It's a Friday wedding, that opens up the whole weekend.
Yeah.
There's not, but.
Okay, bummer.
Yeah. You're going down anyway. But yeah, so like for me, Matt, part of the motivation is around, I'm quite excited about it. I'm going to find like a really nice downhill, like a run of like, probably like 2 or 3% downhill that goes for 5 kilometers. And I'm going to try and absolutely annihilate my 5K PB. Cause there's no race rules, right? Like I'm just,
yeah, that's actually a good idea.
Like I'm excited. Like, wow.
Yeah.
All right. Because otherwise you go, I want to test myself at a race or on a course that we all know, the park run. There's a couple 5Ks that we do here with the club and stuff. And you got to do it there against other people. Like, hey, look, I'm not allowed doing it against other people. So I'm going to go make my course, the fastest course, put it on Strava. Figured I would get some spray paint, post it up on social media, show everyone where it is. So if you're around the Rotorua region, you can go there, measure up, go try and smash your 5K PB.
What are you going to do with the paint though? Are you going to paint like inspirational quotes for yourself?
Oh, like they're doing when you're biking up the hill in the Tour de France.
You got this. No pain,
go
no
woo.
gain.
Yeah.
Pain is just weakness leaving the body.
Yeah, and like sweat is the tears of fat. Yeah.
That's a new one.
Yeah. No. And chafing the dream. That's a good one. I've seen that one. Like chasing the dream. Yeah. Anyway, so some of those things, and I'm keen to try like my biggest ever running week. That's another exciting challenge I want to do. That's the kind of stuff I'm working on with my athletes as well, trying to figure that all out. Everyone, I think, yes, everyone is based in New Zealand at the moment for me. I know it's a bit different for you. So we're allowed outside to exercise, which is a massive positive for the triathletes. The pools are closed, but, trails and everything are open at this stage. So yeah, we can, it's all good.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's around motivation, but, in terms of like most of us now, we're at home. Okay. So I think, Matt, when you're trying to do your training plan, you've got a training plan, or maybe you just, have one you've done yourself. I think the most important is routine, around, well, like I put a few, right? We've got routine, recovery, structure, planning, and then like your methods and approach. And routine for me is, and I guess that sort of centers around structure. But you're not a big routine guy.
No, not really. Not at all, actually. So I think it's important to note that actually we're approaching this from kind of both sides, because we work from home, and have done for a while. Like you have longer than me. And, we're approaching this from kind of both sides. We work from home and we kind of make our own schedules in a way. And then we also kind of train from home or at home quite a lot as well. So, as far as a routine goes, I pretty much have no routine. And
this is your routine, Tuesday morning, 8 a.m.
Yeah, this is like tough for me to like schedule this in like a commitment every single week, recurring. I struggled for a really long time where like I was like, man, why can I not have a routine like everyone else? But then we did one of those like working profiles at work, and when I was working at the university, and I found that my personality was actually geared towards not having a routine. And after that, I was like, sweet, well, this is good because I don't want a routine. I can't handle it. So
Is it like one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, I'm big boned, like I'm not.
No,
I'm
so
like
this
geared
is
towards being obese.
actually forget what it's called. It's something personality profile. It's something that's traditionally used to kind of figure out what jobs you'd be geared towards and what kind of tasks you excel at. So it was a huge questionnaire we had to write down. Someone can send us an email and remind me what it's called. But it's a super common thing that everyone does to kind of figure out if they're suited for a job. So we did this, and I was like, oh, this is actually takes a load off because makes me kind of understand the way that I work a little bit better. So it was really helpful. Like I still get lots of things done, right? I just do it with no routine.
Yeah, see, what I would do without my structure, and I think I probably sit in the middle, but in terms of training, I'd get up and be like, oh, nah, I want a bit more sleep. So I'll sleep a little bit more and then get up and have my coffee, have some breakfast. Maybe James is up, I'll play with him. And then I think, get into the emails, got to send those, got to do some training, check in with some people, and I'll do my run. And before I know it, this is kind of like the end of the day. And now I'm not as motivated and it becomes more of a struggle. Whereas there's nothing really stopping me from just getting out the door and getting it done. And then it's done. And then I also have the opportunity to train more in the evening if I have like the energy and stuff. Cause otherwise it was like I'd maybe piss around doing nothing all morning and then go exercise and then recover. And then I've kind of been a bit useless all day. Unproductive as opposed to useless, I guess I'd say. So now I put a lot more focus on fixing a time for exercise.
Yeah. I think it's important for me to always make time as well. Like I make time for sure. Cause if you don't make time, it's not going to happen. So I pretty much plan my day around, like I wake up in the morning, like, okay, what do I need to do? Okay, I need to get my exercise in. When am I going to do it? And then I fit it in. Like definitely fit it in. Cause if you don't make time to do it, that's when the day just disappears on you for sure. So yeah, you just need to plan it in every day for sure.
Yeah. But that was the problem. Like I was always going to train. Well, I am always going to train. It's right up on my priority. But the fact that I wasn't sort of putting it in its specific spot or slot, like this podcast, right? Like I went for my run this morning before this, and that's done, because sometimes this can be quite taxing, and then we've got a lot of follow-ups in the afternoon. But then I wasn't being as productive in work, and that's how we make our money. That's how we do what we do. And so that's how I could find the day disappearing on me more so than the training. But yeah, you're definitely like a lot more productive all around the clock than I am.
Okay, so I just looked it up, and it's the Myers-Briggs personality test. So have a look at that one, and maybe you too can be okay with the way that you work.
Recovery. I guess it's not so much recovery, because I said you'll be sitting a lot more than normal in this note. And what can happen when you get really like deeply into concentrating on something, like if I'm putting together a new training plan or a blog or researching something, you're like, wow, it's been like 3 hours. And I've just been sitting down. And especially if you've just come straight out of whatever exercise you've done, you've sat down, you've not even made time for something, you can tighten up big time. So keeping active, staying moving, and a lot of foam roller mat.
No, I don't have one. I've never done it.
It's
I don't
great.
see the need for it.
It's great to activate, just keep the muscles supple.
Wouldn't you rather just like punch yourself or something?
No.
Feels the same. I think one of the issues with sitting is that you're not moving your muscles, right? So your feet are down.
Not moving. Yeah.
Your feet are down on the ground and gravity is kind of taking over. So what happens when gravity takes over is that you could see some blood pooling in your legs because they're down on the ground and you're not moving your muscles, so you're not pumping. You don't have the muscle pumping the blood back to your heart to be reoxygenated. You need to rely on your heart pumping the blood back to your heart, which is actually really difficult to do when gravity's fighting against you and you're not moving the muscles. So when you're thinking about recovery, and you have a reduced blood flow to your legs, especially because a lot of what we're doing is we're using the legs, it's not really great to just be sitting at a desk or a computer all day. That's not great recovery. Even though you're doing nothing, it's not great recovery.
Yeah. So I try to stay active. And because we work at home and everyone loves procrastinating, hanging out the washing, doing the dishes, making something for lunch. Those are my excuses that I use.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree. I hear, cause when I worked at the university, you could work from home and everyone would be okay with that. And everyone would say, well, I know if I work from home, I just end up doing like unnecessary chores. But for me, I think that's really, really good. So I pretty much what I do is I wake up, I get to work, and then I think about what I need to do for the day. And then I go do something else, like go pull some weeds out of the garden or, make some coffees or clean up around the house. And I find that actually it's a really good opportunity for me to think about what to do. And I'm also moving around. So I'm not just sitting still for 10 hours. I'm getting up, doing some things, thinking about what needs to be done, and getting the blood flowing. And I think that's actually really handy for recovery to do those other things in amongst your work. And it can actually make you, depending on your personality type, it could make you more efficient at your work, actually, for when you do sit down to do it. So I think moving around's great.
I've got a app, of course. It's called, what is it? Clear Focus. It's called Clear Focus. And it's just a timer and you can set it, and it's the default settings, 15 and 5, kind of like run walk. But you work for 15 minutes and it beeps 5 minutes off. And that was a great way. I use this a lot when I had to write my thesis, and you can concentrate and then come away, reconcentrate. So it's not like, it breaks it up into achievable chunks. Often we have tasks that we just continuously put off. I'm like, I do not want to do this. And that's a good one. I'll try and stay moving, maybe do some push-ups or something. Especially in New Zealand, we're coming into winter. I don't really like to pay for heating, but you get really, really cold when you sit because of the blood pooling.
Yeah. And you're not creating the heat from your muscular contraction.
You get so cold, eh?
Yeah,
just sitting there, man, you get cold. But yeah, but I'd exercise 4-minute workouts on YouTube. Remember we used to do those?
Yeah, those were actually really handy when you tried to make me get into a routine when we were finishing our theses. And we'd do 4-minute workout, just do a YouTube video, just get moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good.
Those ones are good. Anyway, structure and planning. So again, these are around the same kind of things. I try to set up a structure. First off, now we've got a lot of time to train. We've got, I guess, a lot less distractions going on. Some people might not even have really anything. So having a training plan is going to be really super beneficial. Even if you're writing it yourself, you're getting one off Smarty MTB Training, Endurance Training Hub, you're talking to me or Matt, you got a coach, whatever it is, just get a plan. Just get a plan for these next few weeks to get you through. Maybe you're targeting a 5K, 10K power output, having a plan so that you know when you get up, and either you're like me and you're getting straight into it, you're like Matt, you go, okay, today I'll do it in the afternoon. You actually know what you're doing. You're not getting there and going, yeah, an hour, 2 hours, I don't know.
Yeah, I think having an idea of what to do and something that you're looking forward to I think is really important, especially because that goes back to the motivation thing. So if you know that like you have a long ride coming up and you love doing long rides, having that on the plan coming up, in 2 days, in 1 day, and now it's here. I think that's really good for, that structure is good for the motivation routine. There's a lot of follow-on effects to having that structure and just, something to look forward to and to do. I think it's really important.
Yeah. And so the follow-on from that is around the planning. And when you're at home, you have all of your stuff and you can get a little lazy on the planning. I know I can. Like, again, so I'm up early in the morning to do my stuff and everything's at home. So you just, in the evening, you can't be bothered doing anything. You're watching Married at First Sight. You're getting all into it. There's a lot of drama going on. You need to switch off. And then you get up in the morning, you're like, damn it, where's all my stuff? Where are my shoes? Where's my light? Oh, my headlight's not charged and all of this. And that can be the same in the afternoon. I haven't washed this, or that's still on the line. You can waste a lot of time. I don't know if you find that.
Yeah, for sure. Like I know if I have say I'm doing an early morning ride, like sometimes we'll get up and do a 6 a.m. ride, and I know like I'm going to have a coffee or two before I go. So that means I'm going to have to wake up pretty early, turn on the machine, all that kind of stuff. And I'm going to be moving slowly. So if I need to actually get out the door by 6 a.m., I need to have my stuff ready to go. Because if I'm scrambling looking for a light that's probably uncharged, or, trying to find my one left glove or something like that that's a poor way to get started and get out the door. So if I definitely have something planned and I'm definitely going to do it at this time, my stuff's ready. Like, lights are on the bike, my gloves are there, my shoes are, like, everything's ready to go. So that way I can just boost out the door.
Because when you have a job and maybe you've got a commute and stuff, you do that kind of without thinking. Like, well, I really need to get my run done and I'm forced into doing it at lunchtime or whatever. And so you get it all already. But when you're at home, you kind of, a lot of that stuff falls away. So we want to try help you. We want to try help you as you move forward into this new world of, at home, from home training. And that's the next part, Matt. At home or from home.
Yeah.
At home. How do you handle at home training? Some people are locked down.
Yeah. I remember actually you locked me down for like 2 months before. And
what?
Well, maybe that sounds a bit weird. When you were doing your PhD, you made us train indoors for a month, twice. And I remember there was a lot of pushback from me. First off, because we had to train on set days at the same time, which I had never done before. And second off, it was all inside. And I was pretty worried because I had never trained exclusively inside. And so we were on the Wahoo Kicker. This is when the Wahoo Kickers first came out. Like, you had the original, Generation 1 Wahoo Kicker.
Yeah.
And we trained on those 3 days a week for a month. And we did one long ride outside on the weekends or also inside.
Yeah.
So I got like 2 rides outside in a month. And I was really worried about being on the kicker, like, am I going to lose all my fitness? Am I going to lose all my skill? That was probably my biggest worry. And actually, like, it was amazing. So, like, the routine was great because at that time I was meeting our friend Callum, and he was coming in and he was like, bro, you ready? We're training this time. Like, oh, I'd, get all my stuff together. The kicker was already ready. So we still had it set up with our bikes on from last time. So that was super handy. All I had to do was change. So that was really good for the efficiency / planning side. And actually, like, once I got into it, the rides were great and my fitness was good. And on the other side, like, I didn't lose any skill at all. I actually probably got better because I approached things with a fresh mind. So, I think actually training on the stationary bike, some people have anxiety about only training inside. They might hate it. I love it. I think it's great.
If you have one of those smart trainers, the old school wind trainers, it's a hard life. That is.
Yeah.
It's like you can do it, but nowadays with the smart trainers, they control your resistance. They show you your cadence, they show you your power, they show you your heart rate. Like, you get to see all this stuff. If we weren't using Zwift, we were using Perf Pro, Performance Pro, which has, it shows you the next step of the workout, shows you like how far through the workout you are. You're also watching, whatever, probably the latest episode again of Married First Sight. I know you're a big fan.
I don't even know what that is.
Okay, maybe MasterChef, whatever you're into, like, you're zoned in on that. Listen to some beats, probably our podcast. But there's a lot of things you can do and achieve, while training indoors. And we're going to, some of us are potentially going to get on the treadmill. And that's a tough one because it's not as exciting. It's because I think it's slightly different in that being bipedal and using our legs in a running motion for movement. I don't know if there's something in the inner ear or just through our innate sense of evolution. But like, we should be moving. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, man.
I honestly have no problem with it. Like, when I was coming up through the ranks and training a lot, like, we had actual winter. Like, winter was cold and it snowed and things were frozen.
Winter.
Like, not like this New Zealand winter stuff where it's like slightly chilly and a little wet. Like, we had snowy, icy roads and like frozen nostril hairs. Okay. We're talking winter.
You're hardcore. That's fine.
Right. Cool. But even then, like, I think training indoors was different. So a lot of, especially, people, our age or older, even though we're not that old, like, looking back at what training indoors used to be, it used to be like you're on a stationary thing looking at a blank wall because we didn't have
streaming.
Yeah, we didn't have live streams. We didn't have like TVs all over our houses. We didn't have computers, iPads, the ability to really entertain ourselves while training. Whereas now, right? Like, it was
like I'm 31. Like, we're not, it's not the dark ages we're not scrolling back to, but it
was different 10 years ago, even just 10 years ago. It was absolutely different training inside. So I think a lot of people are, approaching, indoor training, whether it's treadmill or stationary bike, from the anxieties of that time where it was really boring. But now, like, you just put anything on and you're totally fine. You didn't get outside. You didn't get cold or anything. I think those anxieties should be gone. You just try training inside for a little bit and see how it works. Because actually, I know you can change your training if you do this, right?
I think it's, because Matt mentioned the effectiveness, and you were worried about the effectiveness of it. And I've had some of those queries as well from athletes. It is more effective
Yeah.
I think, like, in terms of your quality workouts, I push for smart trainers, 100%.
Yeah.
Someone wants one, get it. And now, you probably don't have race entry fees. Hopefully you haven't paid them or you get a refund, put it towards a smart trainer. Even if you're a runner, you can still, like, for whatever Zwift costs, it's nothing crazy. You can race. We can still race.
Yeah.
Like, you can get that stimulus out of it. And you don't need to be able to ride in a bunch. You don't need to be able to handle your bike whatsoever. You just need to be able to pedal. And it's fun and exciting. It's like gaming. It's esports, really.
Yeah.
But you can still do all your running, and then if you just can get this set up, and it's great if I don't want to say it's great if you're injured, but injury's not great, but it's something else. It's an alternative form.
Yeah. So one of the things that we notice, so pretty much all my athletes have power meters for outside, whether that's on the road or, quite a lot of my athletes have power meters for their mountain bikes too. And one of the things that we see, and this is not by purpose or anything like that, it's just a product of riding outside, is we coast a lot. So you might get 20% of a road ride is coasting, which doesn't sound right, but it happens a lot. And on a mountain bike, it's obviously more than that, because there's so much coasting, even if you're going up a hill. And one of the things that you don't get when you're riding indoors is coasting. You pretty much could do a whole workout without coasting once.
Yeah, no traffic lights.
No, there's no traffic lights. There's no the only things. No, exactly. There are no downhills, and
well,
that's why
there can be, but yeah. Anyway,
sure, that's why we structure our indoor rides to kind of reflect that, right? So they're going to be shorter, probably, because there is no coasting, so you don't need to spend 3 hours riding inside. I recommend not doing that, because I've done it, and there are better ways to kind of spend your time. So maybe this means you have a higher intensity appropriately. Work with your coach to find the right intensity for you at the right time. And you're probably having a reduced volume overall, because the time that you're spending there's less coasting. And potentially because of those two things, you might actually be able to change your frequency as well. So maybe you're doing other things like an at-home strength workout or smashing your legs on the foam roller. Which, I don't know, do you consider that a workout, or what is that? Is that exercise?
That's recovery.
Oh, right. All right.
I don't even know if I'd call it recovery. Like, for a lot of people, it's just a body maintenance, I think, Matt. And okay. Sure, it's not going to be for everyone, but if you've got knots and trigger points within your muscles, it can help, Matthew.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
But now, you could have more time for stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of the biggest, when in my study, you remember, I had the 2-hour fixed intensity ride. So just as a bit of a backstory, we have a fixed intensity so that every single time when I was taking the measures, you were riding at the same power output, whatever that was relative to 60% of your VO2 max. Every single time, it's the same. I can take the same measurements. It's the same for everyone. Different power outputs, but 60% VO2 max. And that's like just below aerobic threshold. Something, a number, if it was whatever, if you're swimming, running, riding, you'd look at the number and go, oh yeah, I can, whatever speed or power output that is, you're like, I can do that. And on a bike, you sit on and you do not move and you do not slow down. And if you pedal slower, the resistance picks up to counteract that. If you pedal faster, it'll, increase relative to your cadence. So you're always pushing the same number and it doesn't change. And it gets really, 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 really hard because you just, I think mine is like 250 watts or something. I was like, oh yeah, it's I can do that. You know, I did that in the Ironman. So that's whatever, 180 Ks. And to do that for 2 hours. But yeah, when you just sit there and sweat, it was so hard, but so effective. I kept integrating it while I was training for a triathlon, into my plan, because it's just, you lock in, and that's why the training is more effective. Because even if I set, a 20-minute sweet spot ride, you're still hooning around a corner, you're still punching up a climb or something. Even if it's a really flat road, there'll be different points at which you're in a whole bunch of different power outputs. But this, when you're on the trainer, you lock it in.
Yeah. So on the trainer, you're locked at your power. When you're outside, even if you're maintaining that same power, you're probably changing your torque and your cadence, which is a bit of a break for your legs, isn't it? When you're able to kind of stand or something like that. Whereas on the stationary bike, you can't really do that as much unless, when we're making the workouts for you, we change what the cadence is. Which we do when someone's staying exclusively inside. We'll make sure that they're always getting a different cadence. But, I think it's super effective for sure.
And then what about, like strength training and things?
Yeah. Strength training's great. And I think when we're training outside a lot, we lose a bit of time. So if you're always like driving to the trails or you're going somewhere, you're doing higher volume, like obviously that's taking more time out of your day. When you're focused on training at home, and you're probably not going to want to be on the trainer or something every day, or in the treadmill. So strength training, it's a great opportunity to incorporate strength training. And you don't need a lot of equipment for strength training. You could actually do it with zero equipment. I have plenty of at-home strength training workouts that you can do in like a really short period of time, incorporate different muscles that you probably never using if you're a runner or a cyclist. You're probably not recruiting them at a high force. So that's what the strength training home workouts do. They make you do that, which is really good.
So I guess, what else, Matt? Is there anything else you have in terms of your bag of tricks that you would use to recommend, or tips for someone who's going to be at home? And this can be just Matt's tips, any of them. I'll tell you mine while you think.
Yeah.
Getting super stoked when I realize it's lunchtime. That's mine for sure. When you've been working hard, you're like, oh yes, it's lunchtime. Because there's not a lot of like excuses to take a break. Like, oh, I've hung the washing out, I've done the vacuuming, the house is clean, I did the lawns yesterday, the mail's already come. And then you find out it's lunchtime, you're like, yes, this is exciting. That's mine anyway.
Yep. I don't know, because sometimes I forget about lunch. Like sometimes I'll get to 1:00 and be like, did I eat breakfast? So I think like that would be like my tip is like, if that's you, that's okay. Right? Because everyone, like, you don't need to be the most routine person working at home. Like you can still be incredibly effective, at work and in your exercise and training without putting much stress on yourself to be different. You can just continue to be yourself, and you'll still get everything done as long as you're able to motivate yourself. So I guess the best thing that I do to make sure that I continue to get everything done is make a list. So I'm a big list guy. So I will make a list the night before about what I'm going to do the next day. And those are my top tasks. And that way I know. And sometimes, that's my biggest tip. And otherwise, just be yourself and get it done.
Awesome. Well, that's us for this week. We've been pushing out some messages to a bunch of athletes and cool people around our industry. So look forward to hearing some interviews in the coming weeks. Otherwise, stay motivated, people. Get out there, stay healthy, enjoy yourselves, spend time with your family, call your loved ones, pick a support person. Matt and I are supporting each other through this with our businesses, and it's been really good to have. So thanks everyone for listening, and we'll catch you next week.